What's up, guys? My name is Cody, and I'm developing a product called CODA. And this is what we are looking at today. So I'm currently just kind of going back and forth with Claude. I'm using Claude Opus 4.5 to work on this. So this is going to be a dev session for myself and anybody else who might find value from a video like this. So over here is an application that I built with a back end of Rust, a front end of TypeScript and React. I'm using TAURI. Let me see right here. Tori, TAURI. As a framework to make that happen. So yeah, so let's just kind of get into it right now. What I just recently did, I removed a particular feature from my app and I did it all with Claude Code. So as we can see, we are over here in our terminal and we are using the Opus 4.5 for our work. That's my main daily driver. So let's talk about this application a little bit more so you can kind of get the vibe and like get stoked just like I am. So this is a home server. It is allowing me to connect particular devices to it. As you can see, we've got the Pixel Pro here listed. It's showing the different models that I've installed on it. It shows the battery life, it shows the cores, it shows a lot of different things, right? This is all great. Mac, very similar. I have a lot of the storage portions and memory usage, CPU usage. Of course, I can analyze storage, which is really nice for me because when I'm developing a project, there's big builds that take place in some projects, and I'm finding that Rust builds are some of the biggest. So that gets pretty huge, as you can see. And I was figuring out I was like losing memory space. I'd be talking to Claude over here and it'd be like, you ran out of computer memory, and I freak out for a second and realize that, well, I just have these humongous builds that need to be dealt with. So I could do a quick clean, and sure, I'll go ahead and click that. So it'll clean up the certain builds that aren't being used or cached stuff. So boom, that build, let's see, cool. We don't have a quick scan. We don't need quick clean done. Great. Yeah, it's all cleaned up. So now we have more memory to use. So that was a huge win for CODA. Now, why this is so legendary is because there are a lot of these model companies, as you know. Anthropic has Claude Code, we've got OpenAI with Codex, we've got Google with Gemini, and the plethora of other ones that are making their ways onto the scene. Now, what I've done here is I've created a wrapper for Claude Code, and it is solely around Claude Code for now. I do expect to expand into the Codex world because I do really love Codex as a product as well. I think it can do things that sometimes Claude doesn't do as well, like code review and finding bugs that are kind of really deep-seated. So I will, every once in a while, run a Codex agent to figure out those hard tasks. So I do plan on implementing Codex. But right now, this is a full Claude CLI wrapper. It is using the Opus 4.5 model at every stage. If there's ever a moment where I need some sort of agentic flow done within this application, Claude Code is using it behind the scenes. Now, what this application is, it's truly a productivity engine for us. And it's based on chats instead of, the other different ways of doing productivity. I mean, there's Notion, and there's a lot of other productivity platforms that exist, and CRMs and all this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, like, a lot of that is just kind of wasted time for no apparent reason. Well, wasted time because the routes and pipelines haven't been set up yet to abstract those confusing layers away. I feel like I'm kind of going off on a bit of a rant here, so I apologize. So sorry, not sorry, but one of the problems with these big application companies, big companies like Google, or a company like Notion, or a company who has developed these streamlined platforms, and now they have this huge user base. they can't totally just like, well, they could like totally wipe it clean and start fresh and then require all the users to kind of go into this new environment, right? They're catering to this space of like keeping a lot of the core functionality and like changing things slowly, which is, you know, a bit of a problem in a space with AI and agentic coding and this flow, is that you can recreate, you can refactor, you can transfer one entire app into an entirely different programming language in the matter of hours now, or minutes, versus, you know, months it would take and thousands of dollars to spend on the development work. So knowing that, you can spin something up just as quick. So that is what this is helping us do. I am being able to spin up applications very quickly and keep it very organized along the way. So the productivity engine is built around the streamlined approach to get to your end goal. That is what I'm doing to the best of my ability. So as you can see down here, we've got a few different buttons that I've been working on. The most important one I would say is the new project one. So let's go ahead and click that one, and I can also click 4 on my my mouse, which I'll demonstrate, and that pulls up this modal. So here you can create a new project. If you already know what you're working on, great. Then you can go in here and you can create your project title, and your directory is named off of your project title. So that works really well. Or I could go into help me find something meaningful. This is where it gets interesting, is that you see there's a few different tabs. There's Utopia, there's Save, and Physics. These are all the different ideas that I've generated so far. And as you can see, it's working on scoring some ideas currently. So what it does is every time you generate more ideas in these spaces of Utopia or Saving Your Life or first principle physics, that it will rescore them based on what matters most, or what it thinks matters most. Now, that's fine and dandy, but then I also created a parameter for it to see how well these ideas actually do align with the current project scope. And you can click the align button. So the alignment of these particular projects are like rescored, you know, considering how aligned are they with your current scope, with my current focused projects that I'm working on right now, which is kind of a nice little add-on. I would like to make it to where on the front end, right, I could generate an idea, or if I go to, let's see, whenever that's finished, I should be able to generate ideas that are in alignment already, and then those can just be saved, and then I could just, you know, obviously those would probably have the highest score, right? But they're reevaluated, which is really important. So once the code base changes, your alignment will ultimately change and need to be rescored, right? But this is really just the top end, right? This is just like, oh, like supply chain transparency engine. Like, what the heck is that? Click on that. You get a card that pops up here all nice. See the true cost of everything you buy. A standardized platform where manufacturers publish verifiable supply chain data, carbon footprint, water use, labor practices. The consumer access through browser extensions or mobile apps creates market pressure for transparency by making product impact visible at point of purchase. This is super interesting, right? So I could choose this idea, and then it would implement that idea. In a way, it would start the implementation, really. So what it would do when I say choose this idea, it's going to create a Claude MD file with the and a README, and scaffold out the project a little bit based on that. So that is kind of the first step into a new project that you could take. So I'm still massaging this, and I want to actually go through examples here. Right now I'm just kind of doing a bit of an overview of what we've developed so far. Now, this is, oh great time. Great time to talk about this. So let's see here. This is all complete. Great. Awesome. So what this is we see there's been a lot of changes. 5,511 lines of code. I'm quite overdue for a new commit. So I can click on this bar here, and it says, okay, this is the Git flow. So if you know anything about development, there's a Git flow. It's kind of like saving your game when you're like going through a level, a boss, and like right before you go to the boss, you save the game so that if you die at the boss, then you just respawn back where you saved. And that's what this does. This just creates a save point for your project. And what I did is I have Opus behind the scenes reviewing the entire commit string and providing a applicable commit message for the project. So I can go ahead and complete the flow like that. And now it'll start running the entire flow for this application. Now this application is going to shut down just like that and then repopulate, and I'll probably need to restart it again because there's weirdness when that happens when you're developing the app within the app that you're using. Or well, yeah, you know what I mean. So it's if you are developing an app that is not the app that you're using, it will not close down like this. So this is just a development session on like how I personally am using my application to develop itself and kind of keep me honest in the best of ways. Okay, we're rebuilding it because I deleted that build earlier from our storage, so it's rebuilding it. Ideally, it's going to be less than 20 gigs this time around. So, where are we at now? With this project, we are doing our best to abstract the complexity from extract the complexity from what development is and how it is usually been done, and all of the egotistical maniacs talking about how you need to be like doing it this way, or you still there's just so many people get stuck in their ways. I mean, I get stuck in my ways. I go to sidelines out of the beach and I always order the Hail Mary wings every time I go. I'll only order that. I'm still a little bit stuck in my ways, right? But I know it's good, and that's why I always go and get that particular thing. So if you've got your system in place, great. But if you need a system to adapt to get a project off the ground, and you're a bit more of a non-tech individual like myself that doesn't want to actually nitty-gritty program each and every line of code, that's just not where my heart desires. What my heart desires is to create a product that is going to push the world forward in a very utopian sort of way. As wild as that concept may sound, I think it's a lot closer than people believe. Or maybe you're a believer like me, and that would be awesome. So then we've got our product back up, and you see that there are no files to commit. We can see that we pushed to remote, and we have this branch and this pull request, and I could go find that pull request if we need. I can look at the different PRs here. It looks like the Dependabot has quite a few PRs that I should merge, which is nice. So I have a bot running on GitHub. So every time I push something up, or anytime it is scheduled to run through my code base, it'll just do a quick sweep and see, oh, is there things that we need to update based on packages or dependencies? Because as you saw, where is it? Oh, where is it? Yeah, here it is. So all of these are different packages and dependencies and things that this application that I built is using behind the scenes, right? So those go out of style, right? They update, they get pushed, they stop updating. There's just so many things that happens, and I cannot keep track of all of that, which is why we have a bot that's working behind the scenes. And that's something that anybody can set up. I think it might just be part of the GitHub experience now, but maybe I did actually set it up. So what we can do is I can merge the selected 16, right? Create a PR and merge, select the 16, cool. That should merge all of them together, which is really nice. Easy way to go about doing that. And look, it's, as you can see over here, it's showing the terminal output. It's merging, successfully merging. Great, cool. And let's see, I should be able to go here and go back. It should still be merging. That's the thing that, yeah, it looks like it's still merging. So that's cool. So there's a settings here that you can scan for safety, and we can also delete the particular directory if you desire. That's nice. Just like a lot of user flow in a single application versus 7 different websites, right? And then within that website of GitHub, there's a bunch of different pages that you have to navigate. I am an intermediate developer. I can actually write code if I really force myself to. I do not desire to, as I mentioned. So 100% of the code that I've been writing, or 99.9%, has been code that has been generated by Claude Code or Codex CLI. And those are the 2 main ones that I use, but it's 99% been Claude Code Opus 4.5 right now, which is one of the main reasons I'm making this video, because it is truly blowing my mind of how it can actually operate. Let's check on those PRs and see if there's anything. Found one open PR, 30 merged. Let's see, is it gonna go? Oh yeah, it's a merge fail. That's all right. So that means something that's going to be breaking something, and that's okay. So it's just a good old fashioned safety check on those as well, which is good. So something about, I mentioned builds, Rust builds, right, are really big. This is your builds tab, which is fantastic for tracking your builds as your project gets to a certain point and you want to actually package it together and give it to somebody else for them to use. Well, you have to build it. For especially desktop applications like this, you need to build it, package it, and then host it somewhere, and then someone downloads it, right? That is what this page is looking at. So you can check on your build. You can get a link directly to GitHub, so I can see, okay, all of these, the build information, the notes for the particular build and how it built through. This is for the Linux build, and I have a Mac OS build as well. All in one place. As we're working through ideas, at the top level, right, we had the help me find something meaningful, which it is still generating ideas in the background there. I might need to check on that. That's great. But as you actually are in the idea, once you've got it scaffolded, you have this particular idea that you're working towards. Well, that's where the sparks come in. So if you're in a particular project idea like we are here, this is an overarching project, right? These are individual directories within the project, and these are tools that you can use that have context awareness of everything that's going on here, okay? So that means I can pull up Sparks, I can generate maybe 7, sure, why not? And this will generate per lens, 1 agent per lens. Now I could use all 7 agents to synthesize into one particular Spark, which could be cool as well. But we're gonna focus on just getting 7 more. And each one is gonna take this feature, right? It's gonna take feature. Another agent's gonna take tech debt, technical debt that needs addressing. One agent's gonna take the creative lens. One agent's gonna take dev experience, so on and so forth through each one of these. So 7 agents go out when I click this button, right? So I'm gonna hit generate sparks. So now sparks are generating. I should have 20 sparks there in the coming moments. So we'll wait on that. Scratchpad is similar. to just having a place where you can go to talk with an agent that is non-committal. It's just totally a scratch pad where you can go and just hang out and talk about your overarching project context, right? Because a lot of times, I don't know if you're in the same boat, but I'm on ChatGPT, I'm on Claude Code, right? And I'm on the applications. Well, their application has no context awareness of my overarching project and exactly what I'm doing and the different sparks that I generated and all these nitty-gritty pieces. But I need it to, and I want it to. So that's why I created this experience. So then now we can, as you can see, I have a CODA Android app. That's why I got this Pixel 10 Pro here connected. I can connect and chat with my projects in the same way that I'm able to chat with them on the app. So as you can see, I got a little chat thread going here. That's with a particular project. We'll keep waiting on that. But yeah, let's talk about chatting with our projects a little bit more. So we'll spin up a new conversation here. We can kind of hide this. And as you can see, there's a few buttons here at the bottom. So there's discuss. We're just kind of keeping it light and breezy discussing. We're not implementing anything. We do not want our agents to implement anything. We do not want our agents to change any code, write anything down. We just want it to read and talk with us like, two buds talking over coffee, right? This button here is the Ultra Think button. Now it'll just simple enough, just tags on Ultra Think. It's a keyword that Claude likes to see whenever the user wants Claude to think a little bit more intensely or do a little bit more digging than normal. Just do Ultra Think. That's why I created that cool little button there. So I'll keep it in discuss mode. Why not? And I'll say I'll actually use Whisper Flow. All right. Hey there, Claude. Well, first and foremost, who exactly am I speaking with? What model are you using? And what context do you have? All right, let's see what it says. It says, let's discuss. It tacked on let's discuss and Ultra Think, right? Because I clicked those buttons. And it says, hey, let me break down exactly who you're talking to. All right, I'm Claude. Great. This is Anthropic's most recent frontier model. Is my knowledge cut off in May 2025? Great. Primary is CODA home server. Great. Look, CODA home server. I'm right there. Fastify Node.js, bridging CODA-CLI.com to local AI agents, agent abstraction layer, Claude, Gemini, OpenAI, Llama. I do plan on adding the other ones too. But right now it is just Claude Code. So yeah, it is correct. It's reading that from like a README file or something. And so this is the context. It knows. It already knows about it, right? This is the first conversation I spun up, and I spun it up in a particular way that helped it understand that I mean business in this particular area. It looks like we got 19 now, so it looks like we might have a bit of an edge case. Not sure what happened on that last 20th, but to kind of go back to the sparks really quick, these are all the individual sparks that have totally been generated, and they're rescored every time more sparks come. And they are in more specific alignment with the project direction. So we had, from the top level, right, the idea creation space where you're creating ideas, and then randomly kind of seeing, well, how much does it align to my particular projects that I'm working on right now or life goals. And then you have this, once you actually have a project working, you have sparks where you can create a particular spark of an idea, right? And if I click into one of these, it's a modal, similar, like add intelligent network error recovery UI with contextual recovery actions. The Android app shows generic error messages like da-da-da-da, networks leaving users confused about recovery options. So yeah, great thing. So what I could do if I really want to see this come through, I could crystallize it and I could add additional nodes if I want and create the star. And when I do that, it creates the star here. And now I can see the details a little bit more, and then I could click implement and take that even further if I'd like. So that's kind of the workflow that I mainly use. And at the moment, there's no way to visually see like a graphical user interface. Like if, for instance, like if I were developing a web app, I would have to still, go to my web browser and, pull that over and, refresh the page and that sort of stuff. But it would be nice, right? Which I think I'm going to work on today on stream with you guys, is to create this sort of, embedded experience for like localhost, right? Inside of this application. So maybe, you click on something down here that's like, okay, cool, like build, or it could be just like a little, maybe it's just a pop out. Maybe it does open the browser and it's just like a link here to localhost. Click that, okay, great. And then I have it up here and I have it on 2 different windows. Like that could be fine too. Ideally, I would like it embedded. So maybe it's like, you could just open a new tab here, like a plus button, and then you get options of, localhost, 3001 or localhost 3000 or some other things. But right now I'm thinking, or maybe you have multiple local hosts, or maybe you have multiple windows you want to flip through. So you kind of like create this browsing experience, right? Like imagine it kind of being like here, and like, imagine this being what we're looking at now, right? Our chat, if you will, our chat. And then this being the next tab over, right? So chat, and then the next tab over would be the representation of whatever I'm working on at the moment within this particular directory, the graphical user interface, the web app, or the Android app, or maybe it's an emulator. Oh yeah, right. Maybe it's an Android emulation, or maybe it's the iPhone development, right? Emulator, so you can iterate quickly and be in one place. And immediately see changes, right? So as I'm talking here, I can flip over and see the change, and I can refresh the page here, and I should be able to even make it full screen. So I should be able to click some sort of full screen button within this tab, and then it stretches across the entire screen, not just within my app at that point. A lot of different options. And but yeah, so this is really where I have been focusing a lot of my time on. So let me keep moving here. Now we've got trails. Trails is something very, very interesting. I'm gonna go full screen here. I'm gonna check the video. Can you see okay? So I do have a thing where I can make everything bigger, which is cool. So I can you can beef that up a little bit. I think that might look a little bit better on stream. So we can see that there's 18,000 lines added on December 24th, 11,000 here, so on and so forth, 17,000 there, and then the commits over time. Say hi to my wife and my baby. The commits over time here, and you can see productivity heat map, which I've really enjoyed kind of visualizing where most of my hours are going. As you can see, it's the wee hours of the morning. And I've got an evaluation system on each of my code bases attached to the project, right? So the focus project that we're working on, it's CODA CLI. I can just as easy click solar energy processing. No code has been written there. Green thumb, nothing has been written there either. So it's all been CODA CLI right now. I could click on a particular code base and get a breakdown of, oh, it needs some evaluation work. This is the amount of lines we've written, how many files, size, yada, yada, yada. A file type, dependencies used. So just a good overview. Really, really good overview for me. And this dynamically updates as things are added and removed. And if I ever need to sync it up again manually, you can. So here we are in the roadmap area. This is another really interesting space, and I plan to build it out a little bit differently. I one-shotted this design, and I just haven't really looked at it since, to be honest. But it's really exciting because I need guardrails just as much as the agent does. And a lot of times people are so focused on creating a harness for something, thinking that they're the all-knowing brain. It's important to realize that we need just as much help as the agent does, because we are just as human as the agent, right? Like that's the idea that we're all going to. So Having this technical foundation, business readiness, launch status, like how soon am I truly going to be earning value from this? Or how can I get this to someone as soon as possible? Well, this is a really good rough roadmap to do so. And we can fine tune this based on the project type, which is going to be part of the implementation going forward for this. Because what if I'm writing a book versus developing an application? It will be categorically a different roadmap. That being said, the template of, you got a product, you need to get it to somebody's hands, and there's got to be some sort of transaction to be made to do that. So there's going to be some things that won't really change much from the business side of things, So keeping that overarching, full, well-rounded picture, but with the specifics of the project type is what we're really getting at. So I'll flip to another one, right? That doesn't have anything. So it dynamically updates. I can hit AI evaluate, so it'll do a reevaluation of everything. But it should be dynamically updating, because it is on that auto tab was selected. So as I showed you earlier, the web app that I created, I went ahead and just made it come into here. So it will always be here. You can add ideas to it's connected to the same database as the web app is. So that was something that I really wanted to make sure that people realize, that all the notes that they've been saving and using my web app for the past 4 or 5 months, it's not all for naught. You can still use all of those notes, and I'm going to be including them in such a way that you can come into your project chat, right? So maybe you're out and about, you write down a thought on CODA.cli.com, you come home and you start getting back into your project space again, and then you're like, oh, what was that like CODA feature idea that I had about mindful messaging or something like that, and then it should automatically kind of search, give me a drop down list of the most likely result. So it would go to, where is it? It would go to CODA, right? On the back end, of course. And then it'll be like, oh yeah, CODA is the project, and then all of the star features, and then it'll find the mindful messaging feature, and then, it'll give me all the context of that feature. And I could have it, I could just take it for face value, or I could have AI evaluate what I was looking to do and give me an idea based on that note that I wrote down. So there's a lot of ways that we could go about abstracting those layers. This one I'm quite excited about. I just got access to being a Plaid developer, so now I can have the bank transactions tab set up. I can connect my own bank to it and get my own transactions into this space, which means now I can visualize how much money I'm spending over time and how much money I'm making over time, and better see how long I can actually stay in the game for, because this game of life on this planet that is being fueled by explosions in the sky, shout out to our sun, it's all about survival, right? So yeah, we're just trying to survive. And this is one of the modes that we need to be focused on to continue surviving the best of our ability. So this circles back to creating a new project under the save area. So it finds particular ideas based on your Save My Life documented transactions. So that was a huge breakthrough for me, because it's like, the reason that we're in these money loops is because we choose to pay for XYZ product, XYZ service, XYZ, rent, house, water, food, everything. We're constantly spending. So how can I spend less and do so in a mindful way? This is the downloads area. For any project, you need to download particular things to make sure it can run in the way that you would like it to. For my particular operating system, it's doing operating system detection behind the scenes, and then it's giving me the particular downloads that I need to make sure CODA is going to run successfully on your device. So we need to have Xcode, we need to have Homebrew, we need to have Git, Node.js, GitHub CLI. We need to have Claude Code CLI downloaded and authenticated. And UV runtime. So these are the top things that we need to make sure that CODA is going to be operating successfully. Okay? So pretty straightforward. If you didn't have particular things, it would give you links. So it's very easy to get going. Builds. This is an overarching builds page that it's going to highlight the builds for every individual directory that I'm doing builds on. This is the only one that I have done builds on, so it's the only one that's showing. But it has a drop-down list of all the different builds. I could, do a minor, major patch build and trigger it, and then it would provide the details of that build. So right now, I've switched to self-hosted building. So I'm building everything with my system, but I'm triggering it through GitHub still. So that was a little confusing for me to set up. But once I got it set up, it's saving me money, because before I was building solely on GitHub and it was taking like 10 minutes per build, and now it's taking like 3 to 5 minutes per build, and I'm doing it locally, which has been really nice to do, and know that I'm not spending money just trying to develop, right? The money loops. Back to the money loops. So yeah, these abilities down here at the bottom, I don't think they're all documented here yet. They're not. But this is the ability page. I can turn the hotbar on and off if we want to remove it or keep it there. So this is all detailing each one of the abilities and kind of what they do and the importance. So as you can see, we've got Cody. My name is Cody, and I'm the developer of CODA. So I thought it was fitting to have Cody be your little chat assistant here from the very top level. So Cody is here to help you navigate through CODA, making sure that if you have any questions at any time, you can just ask Cody, and ideally Cody should be able to help you navigate through this entire application. We also have a knowledge base. So this knowledge base goes through all of the individual parts of our project, where you should be like thinking about and why CODA is so great. Part of it is, finding your focus project and then putting on your particular glasses that filters everything that I'm doing or everything the agent is doing for a particular job, right? So having different lenses to switch interchangeably is important, which we have a lens system, which I'll get to in a second here. This is our memory section. So it's kind of a layered memory on top for Claude Code or any other CLI agentic flow to contextually understand specific things about the project and not relying on the compacting summarizations that happen behind the scenes with Claude Code. So I created a tiered memory system to where there is the relationship memory, the recent conversation history, relevant session summaries, and user preferences. And they're kind of like all of like user patterns, conversation summaries, and relationship memory. So you have particular things and preferences for a particular project, but those preferences for that project most often do not relate to another project. So you want to keep those separate, right? You don't want to context bloat over all of your projects. You want to keep it honed in. You don't want to crowd the global scope, as they say in development. So I'm keeping that more exact to the particular directory or the particular overarching project or the global user. Now, if it's a more of a pattern that would be beneficial in pretty much anything and everything that the user might create, then that would be a memory that we would want to store in the user memory, which is more global. And at every turn, we're always providing a bit of a map or providing it as a tool for the agent to use based on where we're having those conversations. And as we have conversations, we have our memory filling up. And this sort of memory buffer, when it fills all the way up, it scaffolds, it goes through all of the context of the conversation, and it extracts all of the individual most important pieces and patterns and things that are would benefit the user or the project scope or the individual directory scope, and stores it in 3 tiers of memory, one being short-term, one being long-term, and one being ancient. And as time goes, this will they'll add to, they will reevaluate, and create something, a different memory than probably existed a year prior on the same project, right? Right now I'm covering 3 directories, and as a shared buffer, it compresses at 100K tokens. That's kind of how I'm doing it currently. Now we can add a global memory, and we can get that in manually if we desire. Cool. So another cool part is the admin tab. Anybody who is an admin has an admin flag. I built out a backend so I can, I'll search for me, right? I have a couple admin accounts here, so I can cancel, I can extend a trial, I can apply discounts. This is something that I just will need from a management standpoint of the application of all my users, making sure I can give people things or taketh away at the right moments, and just make sure I'm managing all the users' activity appropriately, and all of the things a back-end system might need. I'm going to have to build out. Cool little thing here. These are, it seems kind of standard, right? But I also developed a system to where you can actually put them in a particular, color-coded way. And now we can have these 3 things. And if we want, I could even, change it just to be super minimal, right? If that's, I know what that means, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. And if we ever want to reset it, we can just reset it, right? And that goes back to default. So there's another little snippet of keeping it customizable at every step. Let's see here. Let's talk about the lenses and focus. So I'm gonna hit number 7, and now we can select our project focus, which we have CODA CLI here. And we have our different lenses. Now there's, as you can see, we've got, CODA Ultimate, CODA Home Server. These are custom lenses that I made, and these are the templates that I give everybody to use, and you can fork them, and you could preview them, and you can apply it to your project. Right now we have a code reviewer as active. I'm gonna change it to actually the CODA Ultimate here, and I'll apply this to project. So now it applies this lens to the project. And what that does behind the scenes, it actually goes into the Claude MD file within the directory of the focused project, right? The directory here. And it updates the Claude MD file, a very specific section of it that represents the active lens. It's really easy to interchange lenses. And if I were to, let's say, apply this one, it would remove It removes that from the Claude MD file, so it doesn't context bloat, and it replaces it with this. So it's really easy to hot swap lenses left or right manually if you're changing kind of a direction, or if you're developing on a certain space. Now thinking about it out loud, I think it'd be cool to have something to where it's suggesting a lens based on your prompting. And you can merge certain ones. So if I want to merge particular ones, I can select, CODA Ultimates, and, code reviewer or something. And then I can merge that into CODA Ultimate Code Reviewer, like that. And I could also give more prompting notes to then have it maybe beef it up in a different way, right? But I won't. I'll just keep it like that. And that'll run behind the scenes. And then ultimately it will create cancel it. Yeah, it'll create a new merge. So CODA Ultimate Code Reviewer is now the active one. So let's look into it. Bossy 6 out of 10. Okay. Balance speed with quality, maintaining rigorous review standards, prioritizes security, valid inputs, sanitize outputs. Check. So awesome. Yeah. And then it shows the actual MD content. Fantastic. Yes. So that is the focuses and lens. We've got the new, we haven't talked about research. We haven't talked about Level Me Up. It's all right. I'm going to stop here for now and go check on my baby and mi esposa. And I just appreciate you guys sticking around this long. If you're still watching me rabble on about this new app that I'm putting together, I'm very excited, as you can tell. I think it has a ton of market value, and yeah, I'm excited to get it into your hands. So shoot me a comment down below if this is something that you could find useful. And if it is, I'd be more than happy to give 1 month free to the first 5 people who comment down below saying, yeah, let me download it. All right, guys, appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.